Hi, my name's Brianna. I'm a tutor with Chegg. If you would like me as a tutor for science or math, I would love to help you. I have a link right above me, and please let me know. But today I want to talk about tracheophytes, which are also vascular plants. And so before we get into that, we need to talk a little bit about evolution of plants. So at the very beginning was green algal ancestors. So algae was like the very beginning of plant life. And then the first evolutionary breakoff is your embryo protection. And then after embryo protection is vascular plants. So what we'll be talking about right now is the second evolutionary breakoff. So there's a lot of things under vascular plants, and the reason why they went through the evolutionary realm is because they found out you kind of need vascular tissue. It's pretty important. When you have vascular plants, you can have a wide range fit in that category, like from your flowers or ferns or lycophytes. All of those are vascular plants, and so are pine trees. And all of your trees, honestly, all of them fit in that realm. So it's just a wide variety, and we'll talk a little bit about what makes the structures unique. So, but first, let's look at the difference between non-vascular and vascular plants. So, here's your non-vascular. And I know it's a silly drawing, but it's very low to the ground. And think of like just normal moss. That's a non-vascular plant. And I live in England. So when I walk outside and I'm walking just out in nature, I'm most likely stepping on moss because it's so wet here all the time. And the thing about moss is it feels like a sponge because when you press down on it, it comes back up because it's so saturated with water. Whereas vascular plants, they don't get that saturated. So they don't have that spongy effect, which is really good for them to be able to grow more and be able to distribute their water better. And so it's very important for us to use proper terminology when talking about vascular tissue. So you have your xylem is kind of like the outside areas of vascular plants. So in my drawing of a flower, this green area right here, that would be my xylem. And it's with an X. And that's what's conducting the water and minerals from the roots. So it's helping bring everything up from the roots to the rest of the plant, which is marvelous. And that's why if you have plants at home, you know how you just have to water the roots and just put water so that it can go down in the soil and go to the roots and it will bring it up? It's because of the xylem. That's why you don't have to water every single leaf in every single section for it to stay alive. Just the roots need to stay alive, and then it'll bring up the water and everything. Then you have your phloem. And the phloem is in the more inside part of the angiosperm. Or not just angiosperm, the vascular plants. And it's on the inside, and I drew it with the red. And this is not as strong as the xylem. The xylem is very strong, and a lot of time it's the bark. Think of the bark of a tree going around. That's the xylem. The phloem is on the inside, and it's a little more fragile because it's not exposed to the outside portions. And that's what's making sure that the sucrose and all the sugars are going to where it needs to be, and the water is going to where it needs to be. And it's kind of like the vein system. That's why I drew the red inside the leaves, is because it goes everywhere. And then another word to know is lignin. And a lignin is along the walls of the xylem, and that's what makes it so strong and so tough. Like if you see a big redwood tree, you know, the ones that you can barely wrap your arms around because their trunks are so massive. It has such strong lignin in it. and it's make sure that the xylem is super strong. So like if you're someone who goes up and punches a redwood, there's a good chance you're going to be hurt, but the tree's not, because it's so tough. And it makes sure that it's not able to be penetrated easily, and it makes sure to keep out like parasites and different things like that. And it also is waterproof semi, and that's a good thing so that it doesn't get oversaturated. Unlike moss and hornwort and different things like that that's non-vascular tissue, those can be oversaturated, very much so. And also, let's talk quickly about the vascular breakdown, like what else comes in the vascular form. So after vascular tissue, you have your seedless vascular plants and your non-seedless. So the seedless ones are the most simple of the vascular tissues and vascular plants, and those would be your lycophytes and your ferns. So those fit under the seedless portion, and they're still growing tall, but not as tall as some of the others, and their branches and everything and their stems are a little bit smaller than, like, say, a big redwood. And so those that fit under the seedless vascular plants. And then you also have your seed vascular plants. And then there's two breakdowns for the seed ones. You have your gymnosperms, which are naked seeds. And those are like your trees, your big pines and your spruces and your cedars and your redwoods. All of those have naked seeds. And that's talking about like pine cones and berries, and all of those are seeds, but they're just naked. You're able to see them. And that's kind of cool. And then, so you have your gymnosperms or your angiosperms. And your angiosperms are all of the pretty flowers in the world. Those fit under angiosperms. And yeah, so that's the basics for vascular tissue. If you have any questions, please let me know. I would love to help you. And I hope you have a great rest of your semester. Bye!